Morning.
How are you?
Good, how's it going? Here's Chanel after her walk. She gets so tired and hot out there, it's hot. But it's really only 75 or 80 degrees, but it feels hotter. I don't know what the actual temperature is. It says 70 on my watch, it says 75 on the app, but it feels like 85 outside. She gets tired, and then she just comes in here and lays down. One thing we did go and get was this Keurig. It has a coffee pot on here, and it also does the K-Cups. And one of the reasons we got this was because, well, we were spending so much money on K-Cups, and since we've been home so much, we're just going through the K-Cups. And so we put some gourmet coffee in this little canister, and we can put it in the filter inside our Keurig and make some pots of coffee occasionally too. That tastes really good as well. But aside from saving money, the other old Keurig was getting a little old. We've had it for many years, and it was developing a big long crack along the water container on the side of the coffee pot, and you know, it was looking like it was going to break. And also the water here is just so hard that inside the coffee maker itself, you know, the water wasn't running as smoothly, so the coffee wasn't turning out as dark or as good as it should. I think there's probably cleaners for that, but you know, it's time to move on. Nothing like a good cup of coffee in the morning. Oh my God, so just finished a workout, so I'm a little sweaty here, but we've been doing the Jillian Michaels 30-day shred, which is, I guess, I don't know, kind of embarrassing for a guy to say. I don't know. Do other guys do Jillian Michaels? It's still a good workout though, and we started about a week before all this coronavirus stuff happened in last month, but we just started. We did a couple weeks last month, and then we started doing the level 1, 2, and 3 all over again at the beginning of April, and so yeah, we're on level 3 now. Few days left, one more week of the 30-day shred. You do 10 days of level 1, 10 days of level 2, and then 10 days of level 3, and they get progressively harder. And but yeah, trying to stay in shape. But you know, the other day was the NFL draft, I guess, and a bunch of people started seeing some of my Star Wars NFL designs online, and so I thought, what better time to do a video on some of my Star Wars NFL mashup designs. As you can see by the t-shirt I'm wearing right here, got the Seattle Ewoks. Might be backwards in the video, I'm not sure, but let's take a look at my little folio of Star Wars NFL mashup designs, and I've got a link that will show you where you can buy some t-shirts from. So I figured I'd start with the last letters of the alphabet first, since some of my favorites are towards the end of the alphabet. But this obviously with Luke and his helmet, he's the Red Leader Squadron, and the Washington Redskins have the Indian head as their logo, and I just thought this worked so well as something to go with. The Red Leaders just fit with the Redskins, Washington Red Leaders instead of the Redskins. This was the first initial idea that I had, was the Tusken Raiders. Driving around here in Southern California, you just see a lot of Raiders fans on stickers on the back of their cars, and I would see these. I would drive behind people and I'd say, man, that would be so cool to put a Tusken Raider image on there and have those bar weapons, whatever they are, as the cross in the background, and call them the Tusken Raiders instead of the Oakland Raiders, and now they're the Vegas Raiders. But instead of the shield, I put the sand speeder in there, and I always loved that sand speeder. That was like my favorite toy growing up. Wish I still had that. And then I got the Tennessee TIE Fighters. The Titans have this blue and red motif, with the flames off the T, and I just figured this looked so cool with a flaming TIE fighter. It kind of reminded me of that scene where a TIE fighter is crashing to the planet in the first one of the new trilogy with Poe and Finn in there. They're crashing to the planet. Of course, that wasn't a TIE fighter, but it just kind of reminds me of that. And the Tatooine Browns, I wasn't sure what to do for this one for a while, but it just seemed to fit so well with the orange eyes of the Jawas, and the two sons of Tatooine in the background, and just the whole brown motif. They're wearing those brown cloaks, I really like how this one turned out. Even though it's one of the more simple designs, it was just kind of cool. The Tampa Bay Bounty Hunters, I got the Mandalorian on there instead, and I got his Slave One gunship on there, and that one turned out pretty good instead of the Buccaneers. Tauntauns, of course. At first, when I first did this, it was the St. Louis Tauntauns, and they moved to Los Angeles, and one of the clients who bought one of my shirts asked me if I could change it to Los Angeles, and so I did as soon as they had changed, and so got the Los Angeles Tauntaun design. This was one of the first ones that I also did, the Seattle Ewoks. It just kind of fit because Ewoks rhymes with Seahawks. They both have similar kind of Pacific Northwest kind of trees. The Ewoks live in those big, huge redwood trees, which is actually in Northern California where it was filmed. But Seattle has the similar Pacific Northwest evergreen trees and similar style to Endor, ferns everywhere, and so I made the Ewok kind of look like the Seahawks logo. And in the movie, in Return of the Jedi, the chief of the Ewoks has this bird skull looking thing on there, so I kind of made this sort of the Seahawks logo with a skull and turned it into a skull on his head, just like the chief does in Return of the Jedi. The San Francisco R4G9ers. R4G9 is the little droid that is Obi-Wan Kenobi's droid in the first three trilogies, where he's got his Jedi starfighter, and he says R4 a few times. And at first I didn't know what to do, but then it kind of hit me that he called it R4, and I thought that it was R4G9, so I looked it up, and sure enough, instead of the 49ers, get the R4G9ers. the Los Angeles Starfighters. This, you know, with the Chargers logo, it's all yellow. It had this lightning bolt, and even though I have problems with the first three episodes of Star Wars, I really did like this yellow starfighter ship, and it has little R2 in the ship there in the design, and I think that was kind of good for the Chargers to kind of streaming off into with a lightning bolt flare. And the smugglers, this is another one of my favorite designs, just because the Steelers have this kind of star flare, you know, thing going on, and just looks cool as a laser blaster blast coming out of Han Solo's gun there. And I know the Steelers technically is probably about the steel mills in Pittsburgh and everything, but it's also kind of plays on the word stealing, so smugglers with Han Solo. The Wookiees, you know, I just really wanted to have a design that had Chewbacca in there, and with the Eagles, they have this cool design for the eagle, and I thought this looked perfect for Chewie's fur. Even though he's white and gray, it just has, you can tell it's Chewie. And yeah, Philadelphia Wookiees. Plus the Wookiees font looks so cool in that style. This one I wasn't quite sure what to do. The Giants have that NY, you know, and so I just kind of turned it into the RA for Rebel Alliance in kind of a similar style as the NY was, and put the Rebel Alliance symbol inside the A, reversed out there. New York Jedis instead of New York Jets, just the Jets and Jedis kind of rhyme together. And the New Orleans Squadrons, I just thought this kind of went good. There's a gold leader in the Star Wars Episode 4 where they're attacking the Death Star, and I'm pretty sure there's a gold leader. And so I combined the Rebel Alliance logo with the Saints fleur-de-lis in there. And New England, you know, I really would have done a person, but it just seemed so cool to have the red and white stripe kind of thing going off the back, just like in the Patriots. But since it's the Patriots, I tried to find a word that was similar to Patriots, and pod racer kind of came to mind, and I think this turned out pretty well with the pod racers kind of jet streaming off there with the similar motif as the Patriots. Anakin, what can I say? I kind of tried to make it look like the Vikings with the yellow braid. Anakin's hair isn't totally blonde, but I figured it's kind of a dirty blonde, and it kind of fits in with the Viking theme, where they have the Padawan braid in there, you know, and he was still kind of a Padawan under training. And actually in the Clone Wars, they turned him more into General Anakin, and so I put him in the General Skywalker into the helmet of Vader. And I just kind of used the Minnesota Vikings kind of font and twisted them around and turned them around so that it spelled the word Anakin. And the Dolphins have this kind of orange and teal color going on, and I thought this was perfect for Yoda. It's not the exact same color as Yoda. I tried to keep the Miami Dolphins colors, but with Yoda in there, and I think this turned out pretty good. It's in the same kind of angle as the Dolphins would. The lightsaber's in the same angle that the Dolphins logo is. And so, yeah, I just kind of imitated those colors and called them the Dagobahs instead of the Dolphins. and the Imperial cruisers. It's funny because my high school actually was called the Tomahawks, and they had the same Kansas City uniforms as the real team did, and I just really like how the Chiefs logo is a arrowhead, and it just fits so well with the Star Destroyer in their Imperial cruiser, and I put the kind of command turret in there as the command tower as the IC. And Jacksonville Jabas. I tried to come up with good symbolism for each city, and I hope I don't offend anybody by putting in the wrong thing, but it just, I was trying to think of jaguars, and it just seemed to fit that Java starts with a J, and Jag and Jab, so Jabba has a similar kind of ring to it as Jaguar, and I got his tongue hanging out there. The Indianapolis Clones, instead of the Colts, it's the Clones, so similar letters going on, and I was trying to think of the Colts have a horseshoe, right? And so I tried to think of a good nice and white and bold lines instead of the horseshoe, trying to come up with some symbol, and the clone trooper helmet just seemed to fit so well with that, instead of coming up with some other symbol that was like a horseshoe. I tried to keep most of the names either sort of rhyming to the existing teams' names and the similar names in Star Wars, and so clones and Colts have some of the same letters. X-Wings instead of the Texans, just the letter X in there is in both things, and one of my favorite ships in the whole series is the X-Wing, and so I of course had to represent that. And the red, white, and blue is just so cool, as the American color is put into a X-Wing, but it's also a global thing, so there's other countries with the red, white, and blue, but I'm an American, so I like red, white, and blue, and I put it in the X-Wings, and just fit for the Texans, which also have red, white, and blue in their Texan flag there. Green Bay Protocols, trying to think of something that was gold, for Green Bay, and of course C-3PO came to mind. Wasn't sure if I should put that G on his forehead or not, but it seemed to tie it together, and I could take that out. I'm still not totally sure about that G in there, but it's such a dominant part of the Green Bay logo. Luke Detroit Skywalkers, I of course had to have Luke, and the Lions have starts with an L, and so Luke just totally fits with this. I was going to do Leia at first, but it seemed a little too princessy, so I chose Luke. And, it's the Luke Skywalkers, but it just seemed with Detroit Lions, it's just one word, and have Skywalkers, it's just an added description in there, but, I figured it's got to go on there. The Denver Dewbacks, this is kind of like the Denver Broncos, except the Denver Dewbacks. The Dewbacks were the giant lizards and that the stormtroopers rode in Star Wars New Hope. The Dallas Kenobis, Obi-Wan Kenobi's got his lightsaber in there. I was just trying to think of a way to keep that star in there, and when the lightsaber turns on, it just has that brilliant glow, and I figured that kind of represented the lightsaber turning on right there. It's not as brilliant blue as the lightsaber is, but I figured that was a good symbolism for the lightsaber turning on. Cincinnati beasts instead of the Bengals, and I used the same colors as that big beast. That was such a cool beast in the Clone Wars. So I tried to imitate that. I like how this design turned out. It's fun to do this kind of more organic beast. The Chicago Akbars just fit instead of saying bears, the Akbars. And, you know, it's a trap. Chicago Sea in the background, and that instead of an oval, I kind of put the shape of the ship that he's in for the rebel ship that he's in Return of the Jedi. The Carolina AT-AT walkers. I was trying to come up with something that had, you know, a similar style as that cool panther head, and I just love the AT-AT walker's head, but I didn't want to just show the head, so I had to put the body on there. And I tried to kind of just imitate the kind of wave at the bottom as the Carolina Panthers have on the bottom of the head. So Carolina AT-AT walkers. Buffalo Banthas, you know, in Buffalo it's got the buffalo on there, but this Bantha just kind of has a similar style and just seemed to fit. Baltimore Rancors. Some people might think, why did you choose a Rancor? But it's like Rancor and Raven. They have similar letters, starts with R-A, and the Raven's head is kind of the same shape as this Rancor shape that I chose here. I just kind of, it's a little different, of course, but I try to keep it looking sort of similar, and so in that same style, I redrew the Rancor there. The Atlanta Millennium Falcons. This is another one of my favorites. And at first I accidentally misspelled it and I had one N instead of two, so I had to redo this one. But one thing I like about this one, I don't know if a lot of people notice this in the Atlanta Falcons logo, is that the logo actually makes an F. And so the Falcon also makes an F, if you notice here. And you can see right here, it's an F. And the Arizona Sandcrawlers. I just figured that this one fits so well because of the desert motif, you know, it's not the same as the Cardinals, but it had that desert feel, and I always loved this Jawa land tank thing that they drive around in. So there you have it, my mashup designs for Star Wars and the NFL. Also, if you go to my website, stephenclock.com, I've got, you know, basically all these logos here, you know, and it shows the t-shirt designs along with them. I used to have these on Society 6, but I think because I have them, one thing that they don't allow is to have designs on multiple sites. I think it's like a copyright thing that they have to protect that there's nothing going on there. People are stealing your designs, but I put this on Society 6, and then another gentleman had started hosting these designs on a site called shirtbattle.com, and so I added these shops here. This shop actually goes to my Society 6 page, which now I've got a lot of designs on here that are just some of my graphic designs, and on my Stephen Clock site I've got either a link here inside that thumbnail or a link that goes directly to shirtbattle.com where you can order some of these t-shirts from. They always have this cool little win a free tee kind of spin-off thing, and yeah, here's all my designs. If you want to check any of these out or like some of these and want to purchase one, just head over to shirtbattle.com. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video with me, and if you like what you saw, please like and subscribe and share. If you really like these videos, then hit that notification bell. It will help you stay informed on some of the videos that I'm posting. I'm hoping to post more of these and get better about shooting some video, but be patient with me, and hopefully I'll get some more content on there. All right, have a good one, you guys.